Hey, welcome back to Tundra Truck. Our first episode here, we're just gonna recap the first round, the picks and whatnot. Right now, we're gonna skip over the NFC North picks. We'll do that in our next video. Talk about their first three rounds. So first off, we'll start first overall Carolina Panthers. They took Cam Newton as we expected. We talked about it's good enough pick. That's the only option they had too, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Two Denver. They took Von Miller, good outside linebacker.
My opinion, best player in the draft. I really like the pick, especially if Doomerville can come back strong.
Three Buffalo. They took Marcel Darius. I think that's a good player to anchor the D line. Um,
Yeah.
they're, if Cam Newton would slip to them, I think they would have. They could have taken Blaine Gabbert too, but they passed on him. For Cincinnati, as everyone expected, they took AJ Green, wide receiver out of Georgia,
Very good pick.
and then five Arizona's where things started to really uncertainty set in. Is who would be picked and whatnot. Arizona ended up taking Patrick Peterson, corner at LSU.
I'd say more of a. I can't believe this guy fell to him kind of a pick. Like
Yeah, yes and
Pearson
no.
was kind of the consensus best player of the draft.
He was the best player in the draft, I think, but
Even though I would personally take Von Miller over.
But-
But that's just me.
I think they figured that he would be there because most people had those four going in the top four, so they took him. Pick number 6, big surprise. Atlanta traded up from
Big,
pick number
big
27.
trade.
They traded up a couple picks, first round this year, first round next year, I think, second rounders.
This is a move that I like to call a Green Bay Packer influenced draft
Very much
choice.
so, yeah.
So we can talk about that later.
Yeah, and they ended up taking Julio Jones, stud receiver out of Alabama, so he'll be able to help Matt Ryan out. So Ryan will have him and Roddy White to throw to. 7, San Francisco. They took Aldon Smith, defense out of Missouri. That surprised you a little bit.
I like the player. Maybe a bit of a reach taking him
bit.
7th. If they were 12th to 15th range, I would have been okay with it. But overall, I think he's a talented player. So I think it's a good draft pick. I think Niner fans would be happy with it.
Then at 8 is when things started getting absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans. They took Jake Locker, quarterback out of Washington.
Yeah.
Very surprising move, huh?
Yeah, my mock, I didn't even have Locker in the first round. It's an interesting pick. I think overall, I think he'll be at least solid. I don't know if he's ever going to be great, but he'll be at least a solid quarterback for the Titans. And heck, give the ball to Chris Johnson and call it a day. So
Yeah.
that's all it counts.
I actually had Blaine Gabbert going there.
Yeah.
But if they like Locker better, they
Yeah.
know what they got to do.
I think that was the most surprising part. That Gabbert was on the board and they still took
Yeah.
Locker.
So then after that, 9, Dallas. We had them taking Tyron Smith, offensive tackle out of USC. They need offensive lineman to help
Yeah.
keep Romo safe back there.
Yeah.
Then pick number 10 was Washington's, but Jacksonville traded up. Another bit of a surprising move.
And they took.
They took Blaine Gabbert, and they already have David Guard at quarterback. What are your thoughts on that whole
Well,
why that trade
apparently,
happened and whatnot?
apparently they either really like Gabbert or they just don't think Garrard's the guy for the job. We were talking before. The guy that they have there right now, Garrard, he's maybe in his early 30s at the latest. So it's not even like he's nearing retirement or anything. I guess really, Garrard's gonna play out his contract and probably start in front of Gabbert and try to kind of protege him a little bit. But I don't know. I guess that it surprised me a little bit because Garrard was always. I mean, he's not Peyton Manning or anything, but he's always been a solid quarterback. So
I think what's interesting too is Washington. They need a quarterback. I mean, unless they stick with McNabb, but a lot of people are saying no because they have to pay him a lot of money.
Right.
And I mean, even through the rest of Browns 2 and 3, they didn't take a quarterback. Am I correct? Right.
No.
So that's a bit of a surprising move. So unless they want to go with Rex Grossman and have fun with that, but after that, pick number 11, Houston Texans took J.J. Watt.
surprised that he went that high, but we'll chronicle maybe later on what they've done in some other rounds. But overall, I mean, that was the first of many really good defensive moves by the Texans.
I thought that was a good enough pick for them. Pair him up with Mario Williams. I thought they could have gone corner because they really need help in the secondary.
Yeah,
And Prince
and Mukamara.
Mukamara was available, but they passed up on him.
A lot of teams did, which was surprising to me.
He slid. 12 was the Vikings, 13 was the Lions. We'll get into that in the next video.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That sure will be entertaining. 14th, St. Louis. They took Robert Quinn, defensive end out of North Carolina. Personally, I think he'll be a very good player for them.
I agree.
You have him on one side, Chris Long on the other side. It'll put pressure on
That's a
the other
studly-
teams.
Studly pick right there.
15th, Miami, they took Mike Pouncey.
Mhm.
Not much of a surprise there.
No, surprisingly though, I heard one expert say that his brother, who plays for Pittsburgh, is actually a much better player, but just because of the strength of the offensive line classes, that it was a kind of a fluke that he got picked later on in a round than his brother did.
Yeah, he was by far the best interior lineman available. 16th was Jacksonville, but they traded up, so it turned into Washington's, and they took Ryan Kerrigan, defensive end out of Purdue.
Solid
pick.
A guy that's going to give you everything he's got.
Kind of flew under the radar.
Yeah.
Similar to J.J. Watt, he'll be solid.
Really not a sexy pick at
No.
all. But
No,
if
definitely
it
not.
wins you games, I guess then it's solid. So
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
17th, New England Patriots. They ended up taking offensive tackle Nate Solder out of Colorado. Good move.
I actually am taking Costanzo, but Solder's a good player as well, and the position is what they were looking for. So yeah, solid move again. Not flashy at all, but
They get the
the Patriots. That's
Yes.
what they do.
I think they get the offensive lineman that they needed to help a little bit in the run game, but more importantly protect Brady.
Yeah.
Which we'll also get into that
Yep.
in a later video. San Diego Chargers 18th. They took Corey Liutte,
Good
defensive tackle out of Illinois. San Diego's been a team it just seems like they've always been so close to just need a
Just never
piece
quite
here and there.
getting it yeah. And I think this team, honestly, I don't think this is the team that. I don't think Lugic puts them over the top, but he makes them better, and that's really all that counts. One pick at a time, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good start. After that, we have 19 New York Giants. They finally took Prince Amukamara. A little hard to pronounce his name. Cornerback out of Nebraska.
Really good pick. You think about it, as far as the guys who fell, this might be the best fall pick.
Yeah.
We could get into Daquan Bowers if he's healthy, which that's the whole
Yeah,
reason why he
that's
fell.
it,
Yeah, exactly. But I would say Prince Amukamara is a guy that probably might be the biggest steal as far as where you pick and who you got. So
Very much so.
Yeah.
Then 20th, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They took Adrian Claiborne, defensive end out of Iowa.
really like it.
Really good pick.
I mean, Tampa Bay is a team too that, and as one of my friends who is a Texans fan and hates the Packers, even though he lives in Wisconsin, goes. He was telling me how Tampa Bay is better than Green Bay, and because if it wasn't for that Philly game, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be in the playoffs instead of Green Bay. And technically, he's right. My point in all this is that Tampa Bay is a team that's this close to the playoffs last year. They're a team that's, I would imagine, will make the playoffs this year, and they really got themselves a nice player to add to that already really, really solid team. So I like the draft pick a lot. Claiborne's a very good player.
I will disagree quickly with your friend. I mean, say this for a different argument, different day. Maybe
Yeah,
if
no, I disagree with them
No,
too.
he can come argue me sometime, but they did play. The quality of opponents was very compared to the Packers. It was
right.
lower.
Right,
So-
and if you look at Green Bay in general, no matter how they got into the playoffs, and we can argue all day about how they got through all those injuries to get into the playoffs. First of all, and they deserved a break to go their way, considering a bunch of injury breaks went the wrong way for them. But you go on the road to the 1, 2, and 3 seed in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah,
And, they
proved it.
deserve that
They
Super
proved
Bowl.
it.
They
Yep.
deserve it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a tough road right there. But anyway,
we'll say that for a different day. 2021, it was Kansas City. Cleveland ended up trading up to that pick, and they ended up taking Phil Taylor, defensive tackle out of Baylor.
Phil Taylor from Baylor.
There's a little bit of concern of a little bit of knee injury, but we'll see how that pans out.
But if he becomes the player they think he is, he kind of reminds me of B.J. Raji a little bit. 334, big guy that they want to put in the middle of the
I'll
3-4
disagree.
defense.
B.J. Raju is a better prospect coming out of college.
Well, but I mean like playing style wise.
I compare him more of a Sean Rogers type, solid player.
Okay, I can give you that.
But I mean, we'll see in 5
yeah,
7
we'll see what
years.
Phil Taylor is.
At 22, we have Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Costanzo, tackle Boston College. They need to take an offensive lineman, protect Peyton, no
Good solid
question
pick.
about that.
Good stuff.
Philadelphia Eagles, me and Brandon both had Jimmy Smith going, but he did not. They ended up taking Danny Watkins, 27-year-old guard out of Baylor. And personally, I think when we look back, it's a really good pick for him because it's going to protect Vic.
Right now, it's a good pick.
It's gonna protect
You're
Vic.
not going to get your future.
It's tough. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
he's 5 years older than most of these players.
right. And that's
But-
5 years off the career. But yeah, you're right. You know what? If he can contribute right now, to be honest with you, Vic's not old, but Vic's window too might be only 5-6 years. So I think you
Right.
try to get Vic as much time as you can right now to win something. And
Exactly. Yeah.
so I mean, I like the pick. I do like the pick. I wouldn't have liked it if it was Green Bay's pick, but I do like it if it's Philly's pick.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. But
Then at 24, New Orleans snagged a player that, in my opinion, fell way too far. A lot of people had Cameron Jordan, defense out of California, going as high as 10, 11, 12. And he slipped in New Orleans, and I think they got a stud to pair him with Will Smith.
But what's kind of crazy about that is some would argue that that's not even the Saints' best pick of the first round, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I mean the Saints are a team that's been very aggressive in this draft and have done a great job. They're I'd say one of the top 5 drafts easy.
Yep.
In this draft.
Right after that, Seattle, they took James Carpenter, a guard/tackle out of Alabama.
Reach.
Bit of a reach pick, but
not a bad player, but reach.
They need any offensive lineman possible. Then at 26, Baltimore Ravens were on the clock, and they skipped their pick. They didn't have it in time, so then...
Well, there's a story behind that, supposedly.
We'll
get into that when we talk later.
So then the next team available can choose whoever they want right away, and Kansas City got in there, and they took Jonathan Baldwin, a wide receiver out of Pittsburgh.
Another one I thought was a bit of a reach.
Bit of a reach, but if they targeted him...
Good receiver, but I thought he was a second-round grade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is.
So then finally after Kansas City, Baltimore decided they should probably pick soon before, more teams jump in before them. So then after that, they took Jimmy Smith, corner out of Colorado. I think that's a really good pick for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is a smash mouth player. Yeah. This guy is one of those guys that can go jaw to jaw with you. So
they say he has some character issues, but I think you pair him with the veterans on that team, a winning team, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
Then at 28, New England Patriots, I had them trading out of the pick. A lot of people had them trading out of either this one or the front one, and they did. New Orleans traded up, and they drafted Mark Ingram, running back out of Alabama.
Could be a very good pick for them.
And you think about it, there's some little cautious because of a little knee injury,
Ingram, but I think Ingram is one of those players where I'm not sure he's going to be an all-pro running back, but he's going to be extremely solid. He's a guy that he knows what he's got to do. He goes out there, runs hard, and that's something the Saints need. I mean, they give him at least a good offensive running game, and then he put Drew Brees and his weapons out there. And the Saints, you know what I mean? The Saints are going to be a good team again this year. Defense was really what let them down last year because Drew Brees threw for 400 yards against the Seahawks. It's not his fault they lost.
Exactly.
So.
I think it's a good pick for him. They can do play action a lot. If Ingram becomes a good enough running back, he can carry the load. I think.
Right.
I mean, the rich just get richer.
Yeah,
it's a common theme throughout this draft, to be honest.
Yeah, and even with the Packers, which we'll talk about later, so far the draft. Good.
29 Chicago. We'll skip over that pick as well. And then Green Bay had the last pick. We'll skip over that. So just left is the 30th and 31st. 30th, the New York Jets. They took Muhammad Wilkerson, defense end out of Temple.
Nice.
I think it's a good pick to put a defense end in the 3-4.
Jets are another team that's knocking on that door. Their AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. Lost it both times, but hey, they were there, right? They were in the Final Four, so to speak.
Exactly. Rex Ryan knows how to coach. Even though he's a little crazy once in a while, he knows how to get the best out of his players, and I think he'll get the best out of Wilkerson.
And the thing is with Rex Ryan, love or hate the guy, you can't argue that he cares tremendously about that organization.
Yes.
And he cares about his players, and that's something I give him credit for. I mean, there are times I just want to throw a brick at the TV when he's talking and tell him to shut up, but if he was my coach, I'd stand behind him. So I respect Rex Ryan very much.
So our last pick here is Pittsburgh at 31. They take Cameron Hayward, defense, and out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, I think he fits the Pittsburgh style. He's a good, solid player, and that's what Pittsburgh built around, Pittsburgh's very much team-oriented, and they got a few stars like Polamalu, but for the most part, it's a lot of good players working together and, really getting their thing done. So I like the pick.
Quality player to go with a pretty good team. We got roughly 30 seconds left. Any final thoughts, opinions that you can think of?
I guess with all the medical concerns, I understand it, but just the fact that Daquan Bowers was not taken here. Also, we'll talk about this. The worst pick was Minnesota's, and we'll talk about that in a later video. But I mean, if you're not a Vikings fan, you're laughing, and if you're a Vikings fan, you're crying. That's all I gotta say. Aaron, what about you?
I can't really think of just some Prince, Amukamara, Slittlet.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. That's nothing I can think of. But as for now, that's it for Tundra Talk for now, and we'll be back very shortly.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.